Choose a cool volume. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
All right. If I turn on the trial loud voice, y'all just wave, okay?
Okay.
So I'm Kristen Quinton. I am a former public defender of 15 years here in Big County. Just retired from public defense and work for the federal court now. So last time I was here, about a month ago, I started part one of my story. And I only see a couple people here, so I'm going to bring you up to speed real quick. So I was born and raised in southeast Atlanta. They're right up under the airport. We can see the airplanes flying over our house and see the people in them. That's how low they flew over our house. I grew up in a very multicultural area. We had Vietnamese, we had Hispanics, and African Americans. At one point, I was only one of two white girls on my basketball team. This is going to be very important when you hear where I ended up. So here I was in southeast Atlanta, and extremely poor. I think I described it as standing in line for government cheese and cans of pork that you only knew was cans of pork because it had a white label with a black pig on it. So we were that poor. My mama had 5 of us kids. She had us in 2 litters with 3 different fathers. And she had us all by herself. And so here I was in this extremely poor, very blue collar, no collar family. I guess if you're not blue collar and you're on welfare, I guess what are you? V-neck? Wife beaters. Our neighborhood and the way I was raised, my mama didn't drink, but for some reason she liked the bars and would take us to the bars. But she didn't drink. She just knew everybody in the bar. And my mom would walk in and they'd say, "Oh, Big Linda." And she just waves. Y'all see where I get my boisterous personality. So I was raised going to the bars on Moreland Avenue, if anybody knows the Driftwood. I spent my time while I was in elementary school and middle school in the Driftwood. There was another one called Charlie's. And every now and then we'd end up on Stewart Avenue. And if any of you are Atlanta people, Stewart Avenue is where all the prostitutes were. So here I was knowing prostitutes because of my family, and I don't talk a whole lot about my family. They're very, very different people, but because of some of my family, I knew the best bushes where the weed dealers hang out because we drive by those. And cops were oftentimes called to our house. So this is where I came from. I somehow, and I guess it was, I don't know what it was, I ended up with a pretty good IQ and excelled in school. And teachers and coaches started planting this notion in my head, "Oh, hell," and they used to call me Christy. "Christy, you can go to college." And I'm like, "College, what's that?" Because no one had been. So I had a coach take me and took me up to this mountain college. And he sent a tape of me playing basketball, took me up there to play basketball, and North Georgia College wanted me. So I ended up in this military school in Dahlonega, Georgia, with a bunch of Reese Witherspoon lookalikes. Hardly no African Americans, and where they weren't Reese Witherspoon lookalikes looking for a GI man, there were GI men. And here I was, this somewhat inner city school at this predominantly white school now, and gay. Now, this was 1989 when I landed at this school. there was no Ellen DeGeneres. There was no one. We were huge in the AIDS crisis. So, needless to say, people were not fans of the gays. It was pre-don't ask, don't tell. People were discharged from the military. So, I went to this school, and let me back up and just say, my family did not support this move. It was expected, because I was smart, I was supposed to quit school at 16, get my GED, and go to work for a good company. Because I was smart enough to get my GED, why would I waste my time in school? This was so much hammered in my household that even it was hammered on the side of my face by my brother when I said I was leaving. He hit me as I was leaving. He apologizes profusely now, but I was dishonoring the family because I was leaving the family. So going to this school was my chance to remake myself. I was not going to be the poor kid anymore. No one would know that. I was going to be middle class. I was going to fit in with these Reese Witherspoons, and I was going to be straight. So I found me a nice guy, GI, and started dating. Now, this was the first guy I ever dated. And so I worked hard at it. Oh, I worked so hard at it. I was going to be so straight. He was an officer. He was a senior. He was a battalion leader. He was the dude that everybody, looked up to. And damn if it didn't get too hard. So, and at the same time, I was playing basketball. And all the girls on my basketball team were not from the same area as me. As we were riding to games, and we had our Sony Walkmans, y'all remember those? And we had our tape players, and I was so upset up in this school that I couldn't get V103, The Quiet Storm. And The Quiet Storm. So, but of course nobody on my team knew what The Quiet Storm was, nor did they want to know. So here I was on this team, and most everyone from up there were from other mountain schools. And we'd go play these other teams, and no one from my area went to the school, but there was another college called Piedmont College over the mountain. And somehow they like to tap Clayton County girls. So they had a few Clayton County girls from back home on their team that I knew. And we'd go play Piedmont, and of course I'd say hey to all my pals over there, and the coach would be all, after the game and all, be like, man, how you know them dykes? And I'd be like, well, I play ball with them and know them from back home, but I really don't know them. But we'd be out there, hey, Kristen, hugging me and all, and so that, of course, was the environment I was in. So it came to pass that my sexual experimentation with men did not work out. And I went back and started meeting my mountain friends over in Piedmont and going out to the gay bars and all, and word got back to the coach. Okay. Got 1 minute? 1 minute? So the coach pulled me into her office when the rumors got back to her and said, Kristen, we're going to have to let you go. And I'm like, why, coach? Well, Kristen, you need to get your life straight. You need to straighten things out. You need to find the straight and narrow path. Every which way she could say I needed to get straight, she said it. And until my life was straight, I couldn't come back. Well, the dream was shattered. Of course, word got around the school, became a bit of a pariah. And about a year later, I ended up leaving school. And I had nowhere to go. I could not go home because I left home in such a bad situation. Wasn't welcome back. Didn't want to go back. So I started traveling east, and following the theme of Danny, found myself homeless. So first generation college student, and like many do, and you don't hear their stories, here I am living in my car. I'm living off of friends' sofas. I'm spending the night beside lakes, and found myself that way for several months. At one point I even slept in the back of a florist office in a tanning bed. Not on. And so at that point I decided there was nothing more to do but live a life of a rock and roll type of person, and I was going to party until I was dead, because all good rock stars die at 27. So I had goals. And next time, if y'all let me speak again, I will tell y'all about that rock and roll lifestyle and how you come out of that and end up going to law school and representing folks who find themselves in the same desperate situations I found myself in, without no one there for a hand up. So thank y'all for your time. Sorry, Kevin, I went over.
That's fine.